You know, I just want to say this before I get into this next video, okay? Um, and I got to be brutally honest about something. Number one, I've always suspected that some of you guys really don't listen to my video sometimes because if you listen to the video that I just did about Kawhi Leonard, I never questioned whether or not he's faking an injury. Now, I did say it's a possibility because we still don't know the full extent of his injury. It's possible he could be thinking about his long-term, financial situation. He could be thinking about not further injuring the knee injury and hurting his market value. I said that's possibly what he's doing. And I said that we have to start looking at these players as businessmen first and basketball players second. And that's partially why I don't like comparing the players of the day to the players of yesterday. My primary criticism of Kawhi was the optics of the situation, him not sitting with his teammates. I never criticized Kawhi for not playing, but somehow, some way, in my comment section, I have people who are criticizing me for making a video about Kawhi not playing when I never said that in the video. I critique the fact that it doesn't look good for your supposed leader, your best player, to be sitting away, far away from the team, removed from the team, when you're being paid as a member of the Clippers, as a player. But see, some people have never played either organized basketball or they've never been part of any type of organized team. I never played organized basketball, but I was in track and field as a team member. I know it sounds funny, right? But yeah, when I was young, I was running. But when you've never been part of a team, it's hard for you to understand where I'm coming from. So I had to post in the community an example of hypocrisy because remember when LeBron James got hurt, Christmas Day 2018, I believe it was, when he tore his groin, shortly afterward, he was seen in the tunnel with Magic and Rob Pelinka. And I remember so many people saying, well, if he could walk, and if he could stand, he could play. If he's so injured, then why is he out there? Why is he on the bench supporting his teammates? I remember all this shit because you know why? I keep receipts. So once again, that's an example of why people don't keep it 100 when it comes to LeBron James and anybody else. Is LeBron James a diva? Does he exude? Does he practice diva tendencies? Yeah. But I'll say one thing: for the most part, he sits and support his team. I've never seen Kobe Bryant do that before. I've never seen even Jordan, who's arguably the most popular basketball player ever. I've never seen Magic do that. Bird, I've never seen them do that. Bird, when he was physically able to, I remember when Bird had the bone spur surgery. This man was on crutches supporting the Boston Celtics. Whenever Bird was hurt, he would be, when he could, when he was available, he would be right there on the bench supporting his team. When you are a general, you are supposed to lead your troops. This is another example of why a lot of people say Kawhi is not a leader. And I'm not no fucking hater, okay? I'm sick of this bullshit. Whenever I criticize somebody, oh man, you're a hater. I'm fucking objective. I don't suck the dick of these motherfuckers. When they do something that I think warrants criticism, I critique them. When they do something that warrants praise, I do that. I rarely have ever criticized Kawhi Leonard on this channel, but that's one thing that doesn't look good when a player is sitting in a booth with his family. Nobody's knocking that his family's there, but his ticket said there's a family section. His family could be there. They are being treated preferential treatment. That's not good for any team camaraderie. You ever think maybe the reason why? Let's just be honest here. Let's just play devil's advocate. You ever think maybe the reason why the Clippers are struggling a little bit is because of a bit of a disjointedness with the team? Maybe because some of the rumors were true that some of the players didn't like the fact that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were getting preferential treatment. Maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe that's partially one of the reasons why the Clippers aren't dominating the way you think they would, or the way that we thought they would. So I just want to clarify that. And also, on my channel, at least, anybody in the Ldbc, especially people who I fuck with, One LBZ, Ticket TV, especially my brother 78 Sports TV, LB, you know what I'm saying? I'm close to almost all of them, or I respect all of them. There will be no slander in my comment section when it comes to them. Okay? You can disagree with them, but one rule I have. Ronald Reagan used to have that rule. Well, what was it? The 11th commandment: no Republican shall speak ill of another Republican. Well, on this channel, no LDBC member will be critiqued on my channel to the point where you're insulting them. I won't tolerate that bullshit. I don't. And you can call me a Ticket TV yes man or a yes boy, whatever. Fuck you. You won't say that shit in my face. I guarantee you, if you saw what I look like, you wouldn't say that shit in my face. Or I'll break your fucking jaw off your fucking face. So now that I got that out the way, let's talk about game 4 of this series with the Phoenix Suns and the Clippers. And this is a game, first of all, that was poorly officiated on both sides. Okay? As a matter of fact, the officiating this playoffs in general. Matter of fact, you can go back to last year. The officiating in the last 2 years since the pandemic has been very shaky. But this playoffs has been even worse. I don't know what it is, but the NBA might need to. I don't know, man. I don't know whether these guys. I don't know what it is, but the officiating has been very, very bad. These guys have been missing obvious calls. Now, I don't think it's nothing about conspiracy and all that because it's not one sided. It's just bad officiating. Okay, I don't know whether these guys have some other shit in their minds. They need an eye test. They need to go over the rules again. I don't know what the fuck it is, but the officiating has been horrible. Now, the Clippers had an opportunity to win this game. They had a comeback. They were down 14 points at halftime. This was an uncharacteristically low-scoring game for this era. Final score 84-80. When Tyronn Lue reinserted Terrence Mann back in the lineup, that's when the Clippers uh, comeback began, but it came up short. I gotta call out some things. I don't know which one is a worse coach, Mike Budenholzer or Tyronn Lue, but they're competing each. It's like every other game they're competing with. Hey, you think that was bad? I'm going to show you was a real fucked up coaching decision. I don't know, but Tyronn Lue has been he's just done a lot of bad things coaching wise, like as far as making adjustments. But I really gotta look, man. I gotta put a little bit of this on Paul George, man. I gotta put a lot of this on Paul George. Now, in some ways, Paul George has stepped up offensively when it comes to making timely shots and being a force as far as rebounding is concerned and making some good decisions late in games. He's been a force in that way. But what's hurting Paul George to me is two things: his shot selection and especially that. And I think that, and I said it before, Paul George has superstar ability, but I don't, I think it's a lack of confidence or it's something with him. I don't know whether he gets these, oh, here we go again type thoughts in his brain, but something is there. This is something that's interesting. I want you guys to hear this. In this Western Conference series, now mind you, they're without Kawhi Leonard, who has the injury. The first four games of this series, despite the overall scoring numbers, which are pretty good for Paul George, rebounding numbers, but it's his efficiency that is killing the Clippers. If he was just average, the Clippers probably would be up 3-1 instead of the other way around. Paul George is shooting only 35.8% overall from the floor and 26.6% from three-point range. Did you hear me? Not to mention, I didn't look at I didn't calculate the free throw percentage, but it's probably in the 60s. Now I know they missed some free throws on purpose yesterday, but when you look at the fact that Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Jay Crowder collectively shot 15 of 52 from the floor, um, this was a game that they could have won and should have won. But Chris Paul, even though he only shot five, I think, of 22 from the floor, he made shots when they counted, which is why you can't always look at a box score to determine who's doing what, because sometimes it's when they make these shots. Paul George didn't make timely shots down the stretch. Um, DeAndre Ayton had another strong performance after a rather pedestrian 18-point and 9 rebound performance for him in game three. This game, I think he had 22 points. What was it? What was his numbers? I think something like 22 points and what was it? 18 rebounds? I can't remember the numbers. It was I know it was monstrous. He might have even had 20 rebounds. It might have even been like 20 points and 22 rebounds. I just know it was a very, very strong performance. He's really imprinted his stamp in this series. And has thoroughly, for the most part, at least 3 out of the 4 games, outplayed usually Zubac, sometimes he's matched up against Cousins. But he's really been a force. Devin Booker, outside of game one, has not been himself. He hasn't been himself uh, since game two. Well, game one, well, parts of game two. Um, I think the Suns are going to win this series. I just think that the way that the Clippers have been playing, where they just giving games away, it was going to catch up with them. And this is the series I think it catches up with them. And man, if you're a Clipper fan, you have to really be frustrated watching this team play. You have to be really frustrated because you can make a good argument that when the Clippers are fully healthy, they are the best team talent wise left, you know, and Phoenix is one win away. The Clippers are going to have to win 3 straight games to win this series, and I don't think they're going to do that. It's possible they could win Game 4, maybe catch Phoenix slipping, but my instinct is this. Devin Booker has had 3 straight bad games. Paul George has had 2 straight bad shooting games. Um, what's his face? Crowder has been quiet. I think the last 2 or 3 games, you just get a sense that they're gonna go ahead and knock this shit out. Chris Paul, excuse me, is a type of guy. He's probably going to rally the troops in Game 5. I think they're probably going to. I think they're going to try to come out and deliver a knockout blow in the first quarter. But you always have to watch out for the Clippers, especially in the third quarters. I've noticed in the third quarters is when the Clippers try to get back in contests, catch the other team, the home team, a lot of times when they're on the road, and try to catch them slipping. But, that's all speculation. I don't know what's going to happen, man. But tell me what you guys think. And yeah, man, even if you don't agree with me with the Kawhi shit, man, keep it civilized in the comment section, man. All this, y'all you accuse people of being emotional, but then y'all writing all this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I'm emotional. What does that mean? I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Sometimes we as people, we tend to mimic them. And what I mean by that is we repeat white supremacy talking points. One of the main things they love to say about us, right, is that when they don't want to give us credit for something on an intellectual basis, they'll say something like, well, look, black people, man, they're brutes, you know, they're animalistic, they really can't think like us. They're not logical like us white folk, you know. Then you hear people say the same bullshit about us, but it's coming from one of us. That's why I talk about how we, even if you got rid of every white person in the fucking world, white supremacy would still fucking exist because we practice that shit in our own community. Am I lying? What color are most of our leaders? They usually tend to be lighter complected. Man, it's a whole another conversation I can make about that. When a white person shows, the same emotion, he's passionate. When we do the same thing, we're an emotional nigga. So that's all I got to say. Tell me what you guys think.